He said, trust your children. That's the most important thing that you can do, is to trust your children, because as children, we were taught that we are not trustable. When you basically fuel the flames of your child's passion, when you allow what they're excited about to be what leads the pathway, that on their own, they will learn what they need to learn, because it's this natural desire. We were born with desire to learn what we want to learn, and that's kind of squelched out of us in the school system. The analogy that I love is a study that was done on rats, where they studied the size of a brain in a rat in a cage without any stimulation. And a rat brain is very small when it's raised in a cage with no stimulation. And then you put a rat in a cage with stimulation, little wheel and all the stuff for it to do, and its brain is bigger. But a rat in the wild has the largest brain of all. And so that's really what unschooling is, allowing your child to be in their natural environment that allows them to follow their intuition and to follow their excitement. And then it's amazing what they learn. It's amazing what they want to be doing when they're given the freedom to do it.
That was Lukas, intuitive shamanic channel and creator of the Liberated Child, a conscious homeschooling jumpstart course. And this is episode 13. Welcome to the Brave Woman podcast. I'm your host, Tanya Lynn, founder of Sistership Circle and author of Open Your Heart and The Art of Leading Circle. I'm the mother of 2 girls, an 8 on the Enneagram, aka the Challenger, happily married to my business partner, Brent, love connecting with nature, and have put in well over 10,000 hours circling with other women. On this podcast, we will explore how to embody the brave woman so that you can take action on your dreams and desires, unapologetically speak your truth, and live life on your own terms. Grab a seat and a cup of tea, and let's get started.
The Brave Woman podcast is brought to you by Sistership Circle. One of the tools used at Sistership Circle to help women tap deeper into their feminine wisdom and embody their power is invoking feminine leader archetypes. Archetypes are universal mythic characters that reside within the collective consciousness. When we activate these different archetypal energies, we are able to expand our capacity to lead in our lives and work. For this episode, we want to evoke the mother archetype. As the mother, you are a safe space. You are here to help people feel seen, heard, and valued. In this activation, we focus on no longer losing yourself and giving your powers away so that you can ask for what you need. Put on your oxygen mask first. Allow yourself to be held. Have more sustained energy. You can get the full Mother Archetype activation at sistershipcircle.com/podcast-mother and receive 50% off. Click the link at the bottom of this episode's show notes. And now, onto our show.
So I just want to have a big squeal right now. I think this is like the embodiment of how this call and how this interview is going to go, is just like, yeah. I will never forget meeting you. We were at our friend Devony's house, I think for her birthday or something. I remember hearing about you. Like, she was raving about you and your work and the activations that she was going to. And then I think I cornered you in the kitchen and we're talking about parenting and and I was like, oh my God, I just want a mama friend who's been through it. So Ina has 2 kids who are leaving the nest while mine are just right now in the thick of the nest with me. I was like latching on because I was like, here is a mama who's done it, who's conscious, who is powerful and young that I could really learn from. And then you brought your kids' notebooks over to my house. And so here comes Ina, and she has the stack of books, and she's got these notebooks of her kids because Ina unschooled her kids. She not only homeschooled them, she unschooled them. And she showed me, she was like opening the kimono for me. Here is our schedule, and here's what we did, and here's how they learned. It was like the curriculum of life. I was just like, mouth drop. Oh my God, totally inspired. Ina is the one who had me believe that I can do this as a working mother. So thank you, Ina. That's your introduction. Just share the goods with us, sister. Your unschooling, homeschooling journey. That's not all you do. This woman is super talented, like Shama Mama. So we'll get into that next, but I want to start with this unschooling conversation. And as being on the other end, and maybe even want to start with sharing with us a story that really encapsulates how proud you are of this journey and what outstanding human beings they are. This is what all of us moms like strive for, and Ina's done it.
Thank you for all of that, honey. I so appreciate you and our journey together too. And to what you just said, I want to stress the importance of women who mamas who have been through it. Because for me, when my kids were little, there were 3 moms who had adult kids, young adult kids. I met the kids and who is your mother? I want to talk to her. Because how did you guys turn out so cool? So I just think it's important as women that we're handing down. It's so important that mamas are sharing their wisdom with other mamas. And that gets lost in modern society, and especially mamas who are outside the box, sharing that wisdom and sharing that handing down. I have so much reverence for the mamas that I learned from, the moms that came before me. And I'm so excited to share that with other moms. My kids are 18 and 20 years old, 18-year-old daughter, 20-year-old son. We all have different reasons or different desires for our kids. And for me, I just want kids that are ultimately resilient, able to handle stressful situations, able to focus in on their passions, able to bring their passions to life, kids that love themselves and are emotionally resilient and can navigate their soul journey ultimately, no matter what they want to do in life. I got to see the results of that this year in 2020 when COVID started happening, just days before, or actually within days of the US shutting their borders in March, when all of that unknown was happening. I was about to lead a retreat in Peru with 24 women flying in to Machu Picchu. And I decided to take my kids with me for the 10 days beforehand. We were 4 days into our trip in the middle of the Amazon at 10 o'clock at night. We were like 2 hours upriver by boat from a town. Our guide came in and said to me at 10 o'clock at night, Ina, all of Peru is shutting its borders. The government is shutting down. The airports are shutting down. It's going into complete military lockdown. And I have no idea what you're going to do. And Peru went through one of the biggest lockdowns in the world, like really strict. And so here I was in the middle of the Amazon with my 2 teen kids. And basically what I got to witness was watching my kids through really one of the most stressful situations I've ever been in as an adult. We were in the jungle with, set aside COVID, there was like hundreds of mosquito bites, malaria, yellow fever. We were in like a zone 4 terrorist threat, human organ donor, all that stuff. So there were like physical threats, and we had no idea if we were going to get back to the US in weeks or months. And my daughter was about to graduate from high school, and my son had to get his college applications in like within the few weeks of us returning. I know all college age kids had to kind of go through those decisions, but we were in the next level. We're stuck in a foreign country and don't even know how we're going to get back. So anyway, watching them through all of that was what made me realize, okay, if I die right now, my kids are going to be okay, because they were so unbelievably emotionally resilient through it all. They made the best of every situation. They were able to navigate their high school situations, their college situations, like they were able to reroute and they were able to process their emotions. They were the funnest people to be with. We had the most magical time under the most stressful situations. And so just as a parent, to really watch your kids handle extreme circumstances so well, to me was like, okay, they're good. And everything that we did paid off big time.
I love that. I've heard the longer story with all the various circumstances that were coming up, but just the essence of that here you are at the end. The parenting journey is never over, but at the end, like where they're 18, they're flying out of the nest, and it's like, oh, they've got this. They are outstanding human beings who can handle adversity and circumstances, anything that's thrown their way. Like, talk about initiation.
Yes, absolutely. Just watching teens through 2020 right now and seeing so many of them being suicidal and filled with anxiety, depression, and just witnessing some of their friends that are really having a hard time handling 2020. And my kids have said 2020 was the best year of their lives, the biggest year of self-development for them. They totally had to reroute all their plans. They did it powerfully. And so to me, that's potent life skills. And the life skills are what matter. And the life skills are what are not taught in school in general.
The last word I heard was they powerfully.
How friends their age are reacting to 2020.
Yeah. And then you said that it's been the best year of their lives.
Yes. They both said that it was the best year of their lives because it was the biggest year of self-development for them. And they were able to reroute their original college plans and all of that. And they're able to handle it. And they're having so much fun while so many kids their age are really having a rough time. And I think a big part of that is because I raised my kids in that unschooled, homeschooled way where they were allowed to follow their passions, to follow their desires, and to be outside of a curriculum. And the way I sort of see the schooling system is I really believe that we all have an innate curriculum that is already inside of us. So your child comes in with all of these gifts and skills that are like an oak tree seed. All the DNA, the genetics are all there for the dominant being that they're going to become, the dominant skills. And obviously life carves all of that. But like they come in with a knowing of who they're going to be. Like they know they're going to be, a seed knows the bigger picture of what it's going to become. But when you're in school, what happens is mandated curriculums get put on top of all children that say, you need to learn this math, this English, this chemistry, this calculus. These are what society requires of you to make you a legitimate human being. And they graduate from high school and they go into college and they're so used to being told, okay, now you go to school from 8 to 5. These are the things that you need to know. And then you have to regurgitate everything back, even though you're not interested in what you're learning. We're going to give you a regurgitation system. And then once you get to college, you have to choose what you want to do, even if you don't really know, even if you haven't been given an opportunity to really tune into your heart's desires. And so then they like graduate from college. So many people don't even use their college degrees because they haven't been given the space to actually tune into what lights them up, what their true passions are and desires are. So when you take mandated curriculum off and you allow your child's innate curriculum to come online, they're much more in tune with who they are. They're much more familiar with what they're passionate about, what makes them happy. And so they're able to choose from a completely different compass that is their own North Star versus other people's opinions of what they need to do in order to get through life. And so I think that's part of why unschooling, homeschooling, and I'm speaking very generally here. There's also amazing things that happen in the school system. I'm just kind of being on a soapbox, and there are amazing teachers out there and amazing ways that kids learn in school. But I'm talking about the bigger philosophy of unschooling. I can share where I started 20 years ago because it's such a journey to step outside the box of society's norms. So when I was pregnant with my son 21 years ago, I didn't really want to put my kids in public school because I didn't like mandated testing. They had to take tests and prove to people who they were. I didn't like what was taught to them, all the curriculum. I didn't like the commercialism that was happening in schools. Like there were just so many things that I didn't like about school. And I graduated from high school, the top of my class. I was actually, and graduated college summa cum laude. I'm really good at taking in information and regurgitating it back. I'm a good test taker. But the whole time I was in school, I hated it. and I hated myself. And I couldn't get out of school fast enough. I didn't actually want to do that to my kids. And I actually had this really unique experience of being raised in the public school system, but simultaneously, I grew up in rural Wisconsin, and every winter, my parents would take my brother and I out of school for up to 3 months, and we would drive down to the Yucatan, like north of Tulum, and we would live in a tent in the jungle. So they would take us out of school. So I kind of had this dual reality of public schooling and world schooling. Every year for my first 18 years, I spent winters completely unplugged in the jungle, connecting in with Mayan families, coming into my spirituality, swimming every day. I had my own Mayan ruin that I would walk to every day. And that's where I started developing like my animal communication. There were ETs that landed there. Like it was really this whole spiritual realm. And I would be out there under the stars and taking in the activation of the whole Yucatan Peninsula. I would come back to school and just this like, oh my, I have to be in this environment again. And so looking back, when I see which of those things had the biggest impact on me and who I am now, it was all that time that I spent completely unplugged in the jungle that is what brought in all of my shamanic skills, all of my healing skills, all of my connection to nature, my years of horticulture. Whereas like public school, I just learned how to like not like myself and how to take a test and how to fit into society and how to regurgitate.
So there's a gift in that though.
Right? Oh, there is a total gift in it. Yes. And I don't mean to discount all of that. I'm giving a bigger activation of what's possible and all of that. Like we learn through, there's importance in all of it by all means. So taking that, when I was pregnant with my son, I was like, okay, I don't want to do the public school thing. Yeah, people homeschool, but I thought, well, but I'm not a teacher. Like I can't, how could I homeschool my kids? Like I can't, how would I take on that responsibility of teaching them everything that they need to know? And so it was kind of daunting to me. It thought like that would be cool, but I don't know if I could do it. And then the game-changing point for me was when my son was 6 months old, I came across the book, How Children Learn by John Holt, who is the father of unschooling. And in the first few pages of his book, it was just this light bulb moment where hair was standing up on the back of my neck and I got it. He said, trust your children. That's the most important thing that you can do is to trust your children, because as children, we were taught that we are not trustable. When you basically fuel the flames of your child's passion, when you allow what they're excited about to be what leads the pathway, that on their own, they will learn what they need to learn because it's this natural desire. We were born with desire to learn what we want to learn, and that's kind of squelched out of us in the school system. The analogy that I love is a study that was done on rats, where they studied the size of a brain in a rat in a cage without any stimulation. And a rat brain is very small when it's raised in a cage with no stimulation. And then you put a rat in a cage with stimulation, little wheel and all the stuff for it to do, and its brain is bigger. But a rat in the wild has the largest brain of all. And so that's really what unschooling is, allowing your child to be in their natural environment that allows them to follow their intuition and to follow their excitement. And then it's amazing what they learn. It's amazing what they want to be doing when they're given the freedom to do it. But as a parent, it's about giving the structure, giving the riverbanks to support them so that they're still held in what they want to be doing. Unschooling is not unparenting. Unparenting is a very different thing. And kids that are schooled and unparented, it doesn't turn out well. So it's being a conscious parent and holding the riverbank to allow your child to really develop their passion.
Thank you. It's so inspiring to hear your story, just to see from the beginning to the end. Parents are probably like, but how do I do this? Like, it just feels daunting and overwhelming. Because of that meeting where we were looking at your notebooks, Devaney walks in again, right? She's like, Ina, we need to create this into a course. And so now the three of us, I feel like, have activated this whole thing. I'm just throwing my like waving the fire, right? Like fanning the fire to make it get bigger, has actually created an unschooling program. So talk about that for a minute. And then I want to segue into parenting piece and not doing the unparenting piece, but just share with everyone about this course that you've created.
Yes. So Devaney stepped in and came together to bring forth what for years I had parents asking me, can you create a course about what you've done because of all the different techniques and things that I did? What we created is a course called the Liberated Child. And it's basically a conscious homeschooling jumpstart course, but it's so much more than that. Basically, I took 20 years of what I learned along the way because I studied so much. I was studying different educational methods and psychologies. And also as a shamanic channel, I work with adults healing childhood trauma and the things that happen in childhood. So I created this course from a perspective of being a mom who has homeschooled her kids and also being a healer who is dealing with what happens in childhood, how it impacts people. So this course is really what I wish I would have had 20 years ago. It's filled with the basics of like how to homeschool and the entire range of from unschooling to schooling at home, because there is an entire range in the homeschooling world. This course gives you huge inspiration in how to unhook from the public school system that we've been schooled in, because that's a huge part of it as a parent, is like this fear of like, but they have to be doing their math, but they have to be doing this. And what if they don't? And so it's a huge thing as a parent to be able to unhook and let go and allow your child to really be themselves. It's such an act of trust. And so in this course, not only kind of map out the different ages and the different themes that happen throughout their educational years, but I give all these ninja techniques of using rhythms and daily schedules and connecting into goddess rhythms and seasonal rhythms. And there's a whole conscious parenting course in there that teaches you how to navigate all those situations with your kids when you're freaked out and you're stressed out, and what's happening in you as a parent in your healing process with your kids. It covers so much. It talks about self-design. It teaches you how to bring your child's own innate curriculum online and how they can develop their inner curriculum. And then it also gives tons of, it's not pure unschooling. It's for anyone that just is ready to try the range of it. I do whole sections on math and reading and writing and science and arts and the unschool perspective on them, but also tons of tips and resources for parents through that.
So many rave reviews. You'll find that link in the show notes for it's liberatedchild.com. That is in the show notes, along with some links to some other resources that is provided around John Holt and self-design and these various things. But where I really want to go, and you've been alluding to it, and I think it's just who you're being, is for everyone listening, it can feel so overwhelming to make a shift and come out of the box. And yet it's like, oh my God, there's like that desire. Oh, I want my kids to be amazing. I want them to be happy. I want them to be free. It all comes down to who we are being as the parent, bottom line. And so that's where I want to
100%.
transition into, is really who you are as the model of that. And we got to see a glimpse of you having this dual education system of being fully into the matrix of the public school, but also being in the jungle, completely unhooked in world school, in Tulum, and having your spiritual gifts come online. That actually has created this very holistic view that you have, and a consciousness that has come through you that makes you be the person who can actually create this for their child. You were invited onto the show is because that is what it means to be a brave woman. We as women have to do the work first. We have to do the deep work on ourselves so that we can fully be the embodiment and exemplify what it means to be a conscious, powerful woman in the world. This is what you do. Like, before even creating this course, you have been activating people's gifts and talents and waking people up through your shamanic work. And the piece that I love and where I want you to share a little bit of your journey is that you were not trained. And just like me, right? Like it was a natural, innate ability you downloaded with this information, which sometimes has you feel like a fraud. And we could talk a little bit about that. But I'm the same way. Like I didn't do a official priestess or circle training.
Right.
It all came through spirit. It all came downloaded. And I have honed my skills and found my mastery through the experience. And you are the same. And I think that's why also we connect so well, is because we've been guided by spirit. And I think this is a really important message for the women listening to hear today is, yes, courses are awesome. How to Lead Circle is such a powerful activation for women to actually get on that path. And it's about trusting the guidance, getting out of our own way, listening to our intuition, really tapping into our soul, like whatever we want to call it. I want to hear that story from you.
When I was little, I want to grow up and be a shamanic channel that like does weird things and closes her eyes. That was never on my radar of like who I want to be when I grow up. So yes, for me, it all started coming to me. Like when I first started, I channel a collective called The Alchemist. They started coming to me. I started hearing them like coming through me. And it was all wild horses at the gate kind of feelings of like, this is coming through me and I cannot stop it. Honestly, I'm so outside the box that what would have scared other people never scared me. But for me, my edge was always the vulnerability of putting myself out there as a channel. It's so vulnerable to put those intuitive gifts and like that stuff. It's scary vulnerable to do that. And that has been my continual growth edge of like feeling afraid and doing it anyway. I began channeling maybe 10 years or so ago. And then all of this light language started coming through me and all of these like innate, I never went to a shaman. I had not seen shamans. I didn't really know what that stuff was, but I'd be working with clients. All of a sudden I'd be sucking things out of them. I'd be doing soul retrievals. I would be able to go into the underworld with them and see all of this past life stuff. It was all innate. It's sort of like kitten is born and it knows it wants to eat the mouse. It knows how to chase a mouse, right? There are just instincts that are born in people. And for me, I had this whole shamanic initiation that actually happened to me in Tulum several years ago, where I got, a long story, but basically I got shown through a whole series of activations, all of these lifetimes where I had been a shaman, I had been a healer, where I had been a medicine woman in all these different cultures. And they started activating all of this stuff inside of me and like did a full-blown initiation in me. So I really believe, like in terms of our gifts, we have knowledge that we've lived in this lifetime, but we also have soul knowledge. We also have soul lineage knowledge. And we're sort of at a cross section of what's in our ancestral lineage. So some of us came in through the ancestry of healers, of intuitives, but some of us come in through like many lifetimes of it. Sometimes when that skill is so innate within you, I'll give an example. I have a friend who gives some of the most amazing body work that I have ever experienced. I don't even know what she's doing to my body as she's doing it. And like the first time she worked on me, I was like, where did you learn this? And she said, I didn't learn it from anyone. I just do it. And I said, please don't go and get a massage certificate. Like, don't go try and learn a system, because what you have is so amazing. I didn't want her to manipulate what she had done, because it was like this unbelievable thing that had never been experienced before. So that's kind of the place I'm coming from, is sometimes these gifts, just like unschooling, it's probably why I'm an unschooling mama, is that I actually believe, and I work with healers in bringing in their innate gifts that are raw and wild and so uniquely them. Yes, we can learn skills, and definitely learning skills can help enhance all of that. But it can also be easy to like think, oh, I need to take this course to get addicted to courses, and kind of look elsewhere at what skills are, what other people are doing, instead of actually connecting into what is it that I came here to do? That's my unique gift. That's my unique skill that, yes, I can have enhanced by other techniques, but really and if you're drawn, that's the thing, when you're really tapped in, I get drawn, I'll pick up a book or read a paragraph and it'll just give me a download that then gets integrated into my skill set.
This is so huge because this is really the piece. And this is why you are an unschool mama, because you were able to find your gift and find your passion and your purpose. And so it just naturally, of course, that's what you're going to want your kids to do because that's what you did, right? I think a key piece here is if that's what we want for our children, if you are listening and that's what you want for your children, are you connected with your soul purpose as a woman? And are you connected with your innate gifts and your intuition? And that's the piece to work on. That's the thing that you need support with if that's what you want for your kids. That's the biggest thing I'm finding for myself as someone who's also on purpose is noticing Callie especially, she's in this transition from 5 to 6 and yeah, she's in a big transition right now, but what is she already really good at? What's already come online as innate skills and gifts and talents, and just really paying attention to that and helping to support that. And so for her, it's art. The art she's drawing already at 5, we look at some of these pictures and we're like, whoa, talent. Or just the silks, right? We've always seen her as super athletic, and the silks, and now being able to give her a resource of a teacher who's teaching her how to do this. But that's the piece, is we don't have to teach. Part of unschooling is helping to bring in the resources and the guidance from other mentors and giving them what they need to develop that. So if I am really interested in circle leadership, then what are the resources to support me and help me and have that come online, right?
Yeah. And I love what you said, because at each moment and at each stage, if you're really so you see Callie loving art, so you're fueling that. And it may be that she ends up doing art or not, but the fact that she was allowed to be completely in that, my daughter was also art 24, she was just always drawing, always creating constantly. My 20-year-old son recently said, because he was allowed, he said, in childhood, he spent hundreds of hours playing in the dirt and building and climbing up trees and making bow and arrows. And he was so in nature, just wild, because he said the key for him, whatever he wanted to do, he knew that he could do it. Unless it was exorbitant money, he knew that we would give him the space to do what he wanted to do. And so his childhood looked like all of these different, playing in nature and all of these things, ways that he followed his passion. But now what that ultimately did is now he has his own clothing brand. He's completely into clothing design. He sews and creates and has developed a line for sustainable clothing for young artists. And he is passionate. He is so committed to what he's doing, and he just lives in his vision and he lives in his passion. And he wasn't doing that. That's not stuff he was interested in when he was young, but just giving him the space to find out what lights him up now has him in this place where he's he already has 10, 20, 30, what he wants to do in his 20s, who he wants to be in his 30s, and the kind of this bigger vision that's very passion based. Yes. And that comes from giving them that space.
So inspiring. Yeah, she loves to do hair too, cut hair. And I said, no, Callie, maybe you want to be a hair artist. And she's like, yeah. She's all about braiding everyone's hair when they come over. And then she's all about drawing and the arts. And she just could spend the whole day at school doing art. And I'm like, thank God she is at kind of an unschooling school where if that's what she wants to do all day, she can. So just giving that space. I love that. Following that passion for us as women too.
Yes.
Where are we spending our time and energy? Are we spending our time and energy on the things that we're passionate about and the things that light us up? Or are we spending time on the things that feel like obligation or the shoulds or the coulds?
Oh my gosh. It's just reminding me that I was really blessed to be raised by a father who lived in his passion. So I had a role model where my dad is a professional artist, a fine artist who has lived off of his artwork very well, internationally, renownedly, since he was 21 years old. What I had an example of, I grew up in an old schoolhouse. My father woke up in the morning, went upstairs, painted, silk screened, and while the paint was drying on his canvas, he would go bike 75 miles, or else he would play classical flamenco guitar while the paint was drying. So at every moment, he was in his creativity. He was doing what he loved to do. We would go to the Yucatan and he would be diving and like windsurfing and living in his passion. So I had the influence of what it looks like to live in your passion literally 24/7. So I'm just like transmitting that because that impacted me and it impacts my children. Like it didn't even occur to me to do things that don't light me up. But his parents weren't that way. So we get to be the shifters of the generation because my dad stepped out of his box where his parents wanted him to be an engineer. He gave me the gift of that. And I'm giving my kids the gift of that. The trauma that we heal then changes all the generations forth.
And we're at this tipping point. We're at this place in humanity with 2020 where we can see COVID as an opportunity to step into that.
Yes.
And like your kids, see it as the best year of our lives, or choose to have it take us out and hijack us. And this is the time for us to fully step into that. So I would love for you to share your work with us. And perhaps if there's an activation that wants to come through you, that the alchemists want to come here on the Brave Women podcast.
Yeah.
And so those women who are listening right now and just feeling the inspiration and heart opening expansion and creativity wanting to flow through, have you really activate all of that that's come through on this call so far? Yeah.
All right. I'm kind of feeling an unhooking from the system activation. We'll see what wants to come through.
My favorite.
So the way that I bring the alchemist in is through breath. I'm going to bring you in through breath along with me. And this is a channeled activation. It's a transmission. It's not a meditation. You don't want to be driving while you're listening to this. You actually want to close your eyes and have a very deep experience of the activation as we go in here. So everybody that's listening, just get yourself in a comfortable position. Pause the recording if you need to get rid of distractions so you can really go deep here. So connecting in through breath. So close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in and exhale. So you just allow yourself to drop into this moment as you take a nice deep breath in and exhale. Just allowing the weight of the world to roll off of your shoulders as you take a nice deep breath in, filling your lungs completely, and exhaling, releasing the air from your lungs completely. Inhaling and exhaling. You just allow your body to soften and relax. And relax and soften. And soften and relax as you continue to breathe slowly, deeply. And with each exhale, just allow yourself to open up. Open up. Open up to receiving the messages, the transmissions, the downloads that you are most ready to receive here today. And I'm going to breathe here for a couple moments as I bring in our crew. And as I do, just continue breathing, connecting into your divine team and really requesting their support. Requesting their support in bringing through whatever is of greatest service to you here today as you begin to hand over into the hands of the goddess, into the hands of your guides, into the hands of the universe, into the hands of God, just beginning to hand over any way, any places where you've been hooked into the system, any places where you've been holding yourself back. Just beginning to hand over into the hands of your guides, anywhere where you've been stopping yourself from living your passion, living your truth, anywhere where you have been stuck, anywhere where you have been stagnant, anywhere where you haven't allowed yourself to truly live. What are you holding back? Just beginning to hand that over, allowing yourself to get underneath the deeper root of what's been keeping you stuck. Handing that over. And if you're ready to receive a full healing activation here today, then just saying yes and really claiming that for yourself. Yes, I claim this healing. I claim this unhooking, and just setting your intentions as we go in. We are extremely pleased to be with you here today, dear ones, and we want you to just take a nice deep breath in here, softening your body, relaxing your body, and just allowing your mind to melt. Allowing your mind to melt as you begin to shift your consciousness down out of your head and just breathing down into your heart center. Slowing your breath down. Inhaling, exhaling, just allowing your consciousness to drop even more deeply into your heart center. Breathing there. And as you're breathing there, we want you to breathe into the younger parts of you. Breathe into the younger parts of you that hold your innate wisdom, that hold the pureness of who you are. Seeing yourself, seeing her, this younger part of you, seeing her face. Maybe there's an age that's coming in where you're just seeing who you really are. She's coming in here to show you in her innocence, in her knowing, in her beauty, in her innate intelligence, this younger part of you. She's coming in here, summoning her in, coming into the memory. She's taking you into the memory of who you really are. And as you're breathing there, connecting into that innocence, connecting into that childhood knowing. What is it that she wants to show you? What is it that she wants you to see about yourself that maybe you haven't been willing to look at? Or maybe there's a part of you that you've forgotten. What excites you? What lights you up? Just breathing there, connecting in with these younger parts of you, connecting in with this memory of who you are. And if you are a mama, if you have little ones, connecting in with them, connecting in with them as powerful little beings, powerful, powerful, powerful beings who came here to unhook you, who came here to unhook you. And whether you have children or whether you're connecting in with your inner child right now, we just want you to start connecting in to that innate curriculum that is inside of you, that is inside of your own children. Connecting into their higher self, connecting into your higher self. And as we're breathing here, we're just starting to tune into what is it that they want you to hear? What is it that they want you to hear? There is so much importance in you stepping out of what society is wanting you to do from a place that feels like pressure, from a place that feels like this is not who I am, but I feel like I have to do it in order to survive. From a place of prostitution, prostituting yourself, doing what you don't want to do in order to make money, doing what you don't want to do in order to survive. So as you're breathing here, starting to release prostitution codes. I release from my body, I release from my body, I release from my body all the lifetimes where I have prostituted myself, where I have done what I don't want to do in order to survive. I release from my ancestral lineage. I release from my ancestral lineage. I release from my DNA. I release from my DNA generations, hundreds of years, thousands of years back. I release from my body. I release from my body any form of doing what I don't want to do in order to survive. Release, taking a breath in, shaking out your whole body, vibrating your body, release. Start breathing into your throat. Just start working with your divine team here to begin to release anything that's blocking the full self-expression of who you are. Releasing from your throat chakra any lifetimes where you were persecuted for speaking your truth. Releasing the witch wound. Keep breathing here into your throat. Keep softening your body, working with your divine team. Releasing any wounding, any trauma in this lifetime, where any trauma to the voice, trauma to expression of self, where you were stopped from fully expressing who you are. Maybe it was a school experience. Maybe it was a parent's experience where you were shamed, where you were held down, where you were not allowed to speak your voice, where you were not allowed to do what you actually want to do, where you were not allowed to do what you came here to do. So just breathing here, clearing energy out of the throat, release. Now breathing into your third eye. Breathing into your third eye, breathing into your pineal gland. Just starting to clear, starting to decalcify, starting to release any blockages that have kept you from bringing your gifts into the world, that have kept you from focusing on the passion of what you came here to do, clearing anything that's getting in the way of your own medicine. Taking a breath in there. I release from my body that which is keeping me from experiencing my own medicine. Breathing in, I unhook. I unhook from any conscious, subconscious, unconscious behaviors that are keeping me from fully bringing my medicine into the world. I unhook. I unhook. I unhook. I unhook from the brainwashing. I unhook from the societal training. I unhook. I unhook. I unhook. I unhook from that which I have believed to be true that has taken me off course. I unhook from any systems, from any beliefs that have kept me from stepping outside the box, that have kept me from bringing my innate gifts, tools, my innate medicine into the world. Clearing your third eye, opening up your channeling gate at the base of the neck. Taking a breath in, shaking out your body, shake it, vibrate your body, shaking all of that energy out. Shake it. Taking a nice deep breath in. And as you're breathing there, connecting your third eye to your North Star. Connecting into your North Star. Connecting into the bigger, broader part of who you are and what you came here to do. Breathing here as you're feeling a direct golden line going from your third eye directly to your North Star. And that entire line is unstoppable. To start breathing into the unstoppability, breathing into the direct course from where you are to where you want to go. I am on a direct course. And as you're seeing that line and as you're seeing that North Star, look at anything in your life right now that is not in alignment with that direct line. Breathing here, seeing any circumstances. Is that a yes? Does that get me to where I want to go? Is this thing that I'm doing actually taking me to my North Star? Or is it a distraction? Is it something off on the side? Breathing there. And really amplifying, magnifying that direct route. You and your bigger North Star, even if you don't fully know what that North Star is yet, just hang that rope, cast that net over your North Star as the bigger purpose of who you are, the bigger soul medicine that you came here to bring. Even if you don't know the details of it yet, just planting the seeds of I am on an unfolding path to bring my medicine, to bring my gifts, to bring my skills into the world in whatever way that looks like, that is of greatest to humanity, that is of greatest benefit to my family, that is in greatest benefit to myself, the keys and codes of the web that I came here to be a part of. I am activating those gifts. I'm activating my direct routes to that North Star that is filled with so much abundance, playfulness, fun, creativity, ease, grace, joy, so that I get to enjoy every minute. I get to enjoy every minute of the unfolding of me blossoming and becoming who I really am, bringing forth what I came here to be. Taking a breath in. And with that, there's so much love here for you, and we're always here for you whenever you want to chat again. Woo!
Woo! Bring in our medicine to the world, sisters. That's what we're doing. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for that, Ina. And I just want to reflect what came up for me was
yes,
when you were talking about like the memory of childhood, and where I'm at right now in this moment is I was just brought right back to the hills behind my house where I would just run barefoot with my dog every single day, how deeply connected I was to the earth and the land. And then this vision that I had in Africa a couple summers ago, where I was just so connected with Mama Earth, like the origin point of humanity in Africa and the land, and like calling in my land. And right now, that's exactly where I'm standing, is calling in this piece of land here in Costa Rica. And so I was able to like, this is such a big piece of the medicine that I'm bringing as a medicine woman, that connection with the earth and what that connection with the earth can do for us. So thank you. That was super activating for me.
I just have goosebumps hearing you say that. So good.
So good.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will be leaving Ina's website information if you want to go deeper. She's got lots of offerings and ways that you can connect and receive more of these activations and work even one-on-one or the various things that she's doing. I think maybe even going to Peru with her when that happens. So we'll leave that link so you can go and explore, and if you're feeling called to check that out. So last question as we wrap up. Well, first, who is the brave woman to you?
The brave woman is the one who is like mama bear fierceness, able to connect into the depths of her love and the power of her rage while bringing forth your medicine. It really is like being brave enough to bring your medicine into the world. That's freaking brave. To bring your truth, to bring your unhindered wildness into the world. That's brave as AF.
So for everyone listening, just if you were shouting to all the brave women across the world from your megaphone, what's that last thing you'd want everyone to hear?
So funny, what I actually just heard, unfuck yourself. Cluster fucking yourself. Like, where have you been just so enmeshed in what doesn't matter? It's stopping you from actually doing what does matter.
Yes. Thank you for delivering that message.
Unexpected.
Ina, it's always a pleasure. Gonna get the truth from you. So thank you, sister, for showing up. Bringing that laugh. It's all part of the message. It's, the lightheartedness around it all, right? Like, we don't have to be so serious all the time. And that's really where we fuck ourselves a lot, right? I am way too serious half the time. So I just always appreciate how you bring your laughter into it, you bring your joy and your gifts and all of it. That's also the message, right? It's like, have fun.
The levity. Yeah. Don't stop taking yourself so seriously. Because life is too short.
Yeah. Thank you, sister. Yeah. So appreciate you.
I love you so much. Thank you, Tanya. I just want to acknowledge you for the transmissions that you bring in as the powerful freaking priestess who created sistership circles. And you are holding the space. Like, you are the example of the brave woman so powerfully and beautifully. And so I just really want to thank you for the transmissions that you hold. And you inspire and impact me on a daily basis, honey. Just thank you for what you're doing. And I hope everyone is inspired listening to all of your podcasts. You're amazing.
You just listened to this show. I'd love for you to leave the Brave Woman podcast an honest review. Reviews help podcasts like this one grow, making it more possible for me to devote my time, energy, and money to its production. If you take a screenshot of your review and email it to support@sistershipcircle.com, we'll send you one of our archetype activations as a thank you gift. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Up next, our first Feminine Freedom Method session with Charity, who struggles with owning her worth to step into greater visibility. If you are a woman who wants to come out of your shell and reveal yourself to the world, this episode is for you.